Hey guys, what's going on? Hope everybody's doing good today, and welcome back to the channel. Elijah and I are heading on down to see my dad down there. Sort of a rainy Saturday day down here in Missouri, and hey, just wanted to do today's tip based upon what I've been seeing here on the way down here. I've been seeing a lot of guys heading down to Grand Lake for the this weekend's Nichols team tournament, which is they give away a fully rigged boat down there for in that particular tournament, and just gave me the idea I want to do this tip and sort of give some advice on what it takes to win team tournaments, as far as what you need to do differently to approach those tournaments, because a lot of team tournaments, particularly the bigger ones, they pay boats, and it's a lot of just winner take all deal, basically not much money after first prize. So you have to approach those tournaments different. And I used to fish a ton of team tournaments a long time ago, and used to win quite a few of them on Grand Lake and Table Rock and Stockton. So I sort of got a lot of experience on team tournaments. And then still, a lot of my buddies around Joplin and Springfield, they still fish a lot of team tournaments. So I sort of keep in touch with them about what it's taken to do well and how these guys are winning tournaments. So I'm going to give you guys sort of an outline from my opinion on some things you can do differently to increase your odds of winning these tournaments. First of all, when you're dealing with team tournaments, a lot of times you're dealing with fairly large fields. A lot of these tournaments, these buddy tournaments that have big first place prizes and they're giving away boats for first prize, they tend to attract a lot of boats. I mean, like some of those big Oklahoma team tournaments, they'll have 300-400 boats in them. So from that standpoint, you have to approach that differently, if you want to win those tournaments. The big key to winning team tournaments, a lot of it has to do with the time of the year that you're fishing, but it seems like to me that you have a lot of team tournaments. The big money ones are in the late spring, summertime, and the fall time of the year. And for the most part, if you're going to win one of those tournaments, you sort of have to have a day of a lifetime, because with that many boats in the water, there's going to be some guys that get on some good ones. And so to win those tournaments, it's extremely difficult. And there's a handful of guys, like there's some guys down at Grand Lake that, I've seen them sort of dominate team circuits, and there's a few people like that. But for the most part, it's extremely difficult to have any type of consistency in winning those team tournaments, just because how many people are in it. The first thing you have to do if you want to win those tournaments is you've got to fish for the winning fish. What? You gonna say hi? What?
Never gonna hold it.
Okay, well you can hold it just in a second here. I'll get finished here. The first thing you have to do in order if you're gonna win a team tournament. Okay, you wanna hold it? Okay, I'm gonna have to take a break here. I'll be back, guys. Okay, guys, we're back with it. First thing you have to do when you're approaching these big team tournaments is you got to put yourself around the techniques in the area that can produce a win. And that's totally dependent upon the part of the country you're in. If you're fishing out in California, it may be a big swim bait. If you're fishing in Oklahoma, it may be fishing a big worm and brush piles. If you're fishing back east on a herring lake, it may be, a topwater lure. If you're fishing in Florida, it may be flipping mats. There are techniques that produce winning bags of fish on every body of water, and you sort of have to gear your approach to that. Let's take for example Grand Lake, where that Nichols tournament is at this weekend. Most of the time after the spawn in that particular tournament on Grand Lake is if you're not fishing either deep brush piles or some type of deeper hard structure, or maybe some type of a deep suspended bite, you simply cannot win. You cannot do it. You're not going to win the tournament getting up and flipping boat docks or throwing a square bill crankbait on laydowns. You could place high in the tournament. You might place in the top 10 or 20, but you're not going to win the tournament. The tournament's going to get won off of a handful of techniques. So the first thing you have to do, guys, if you want to win those tournaments, is you have to eliminate 90% of the other ways that you like to fish, and specifically target the ways that can produce those bigger fish. Again, that's specifically on the area that you're fishing, the things that work down in that particular area. That just depends on your specific lake. And by doing that, you're going to take yourself out of a a chance to maybe place in the money in the tournament or to get a lot of bites. You're not fishing for a lot of bites, you're fishing for big ones. And this is easier said than done, because a lot of times what happens is, okay, say for example, you may know how the tournament's going to get won, and you may try that pattern for 3 or 4 or 5 hours and you don't get a bite at it. Say for example at Grand Lake, I go out and I spend 6 hours graphing for deep brush piles and throwing a big worm and a football head jig, and I don't get a bite. It's easy to abandon that, but you can't do it. You have to keep looking, you have to keep focusing on that type of water in order to put yourself in position to win that tournament. Second thing that goes with that is paying attention to the rest of the field on there. You have got to really pay close attention to like what the rest of the field is doing, you know, if they're running the same type of water that you are, and sort of get a vibe and practice on how you think certain areas are going to produce in the tournament. Because, you know, say for example, if you got a series of 5 or 6 main lake points on the lower end of the lake that have brush on it, if you roll up on there and you see a boat on it every single time that you go past that, your odds of winning that tournament are going to be, you know, they'll go way down. On top of fishing the techniques that are a little bit low percentage, you also have to find those particular areas that are off the beaten path a little bit. And that's why one of the biggest recommendations I can give you guys right now, if you want to win buddy tournaments on your home lake, you have got to take the time to plant structure in that lake. You got to take the time to plant brush. You got to take the time to plant rock piles, whatever that particular, you know, cover is that you have to work with. Most of the guys that dominate on a local basis, they plant their own brush, they plant their own structure, they spend time, they put in their dirt time, and they put those structures in parts of the lake that don't get a lot of attention. You know, they don't put them in and around main and secondary points where everybody fishes. They put them on flatter banks, they put them on more inobvious type areas. So the biggest piece of advice that I would give you, aside from fishing for those good fish, is spend your time planting cover. I know nobody likes to do that, it's a pain in the butt, but it's just like another lake around here, like Stockton Lake up there, that they have buddy tournaments up there on the weekends in the summertime, and they get blown out. The guys up there that plant their own brush, they'll win the tournament by 10 or 15 pounds. So if you want to win, you got to do that. That's just what it takes to do. Now, if you're fishing during the pre-spawn, that type of stuff, it's a little bit different. But for the most part, if you're fishing anything from post-spawn, summer and fall, that's what you have to do. So anyway, Elijah's getting a little bit impatient here. I just wanted to do a quick video on how to win team tournaments. That's the two biggest pieces of advice I'd give guys, is plant your own cover and stay on those techniques and patterns that produce those bigger fish. Even if it's not working out, you have to commit to it. If you do that, you're going to win your share of those tournaments. So anyway, I hope that helps out, and we'll check in with everybody later. See you.